In front of Springfield Elementary, Mrs. Krabappel rounds up her class, including Bart, and prepares them for a field trip to the nuclear power plant. Otto, the bus driver, pulls up to the curb, and Bart chats with him outside the bus as the other kids find their seats. Mrs. Krabappel yells at Bart to get on the bus. When he scurries to find a seat, he's bummed to see the only one left is right next to Wendell, the white boy, who's always queasy and pukes on every bus ride. As Otto takes the long way up to the power plant, Bart struggles to behave on the bus ride. Mrs. Krabappel warns Bart that one more outburst will result him in signing to the class at the front of the bus. Sherry and Terry, who are sitting behind Bart, plan to get him in some more trouble. At the same time, the twins kiss Bart on the cheek, causing him to yell out. Mrs. Krabappel asks Bart why he can't be more like Sherry and Terry, and then makes good on her threat and forces Bart to sing in front of the class. The bus finally arrives at the power plant, and Bart congratulates Wendell for making the entire bus ride without getting sick by slapping him on the back, which results in the latter puking. Anyway, once inside the plant, Mr. Smithers shows a film on nuclear energy in a small theater. The film stars Smilin' Joe Fishin, a little animated character who explains the ins and outs of nuclear energy. After the film, Smithers gives a tour of the plant. As the children walk behind and listen, Sherry and Terry tell Bart about how their dad, who also works at the power plant, says that Homer is an incompetent worker. Cut to him. Homer is sitting in a small motorized cart with his feet propped up and eating a donut. Homer comments to a coworker that Bart's class will be here any minute, and he drives off in search of them. The kids continue their tour while walking on a catwalk above the working area of the plant. Just then, Homer turns the corner in his cart. Underneath, Bart and the other kids. Bart observes Homer and calls out to him. As Homer looks up to wave back at Bart, he does not pay attention to where he is going and crashes into a vent pipe, causing it to leak dangerous gas. The supervisor nearby, who happens to be Sherry and Terry's father, demands to understand who caused the accident. When all the workers point at Homer, the supervisor tells Homer he is fired. He then looks up and sees his twin daughters and waves, and they wave back at a humiliated Bart. As a humiliated Bart hides his face. The next morning at breakfast, everyone gives words of encouragement to a depressed Homer on finding a new job. After hearing what they all have to say, a re-energized Homer heads out to find a job, but after a long day of doors slammed in his face and no new job prospects, Homer relieves his stress at Moe's Tavern. As Homer drinks a beer, the phone rings. Moe answers it, and it is Bart playing a prank phone call. Homer reaches for his wallet to buy another beer, only to discover that he doesn't have any more money. And when Moe won't run Homer a tab, Homer heads for home. Later that night in bed with Marge, Homer expresses his concerns about finding another job. Marge consoles him and tells Homer that for the time she can go back to the old job she had before they got married as a roller skating waitress. The next day with Marge gone at work, a depressed and unresponsive Homer lies on the couch. Even when the kids try to cheer him up, he does not respond or move. Later that night, after seeing a Duff Beer commercial, Homer finally gets up from the couch. Homer wanders into the kitchen and searches the fridge for a beer. He becomes enraged when he can't find one. He heads up to Bart's room, and while Bart sleeps, Homer steals his piggy bank. Back downstairs in the kitchen, Homer smashes open Bart's piggy bank, only to find that Bart doesn't even have enough money for just one beer. Homer suddenly realizes what he has done and how low he has sunk, and plans to solve his problems by committing suicide. Homer writes the family a farewell note and heads outside in the backyard, the intentions of jumping off a bridge. Homer tries one end of a rope around his waist and the other end around a large boulder. A tearful Homer looks back at the house one last time and then struggles down the road alone with the boulder in his arms. Homer continues on his journey to the bridge. While back at the house, Bart and Lisa rush into Marge's room and wake her up, telling her they've been robbed. Bart thinks they've been robbed because his piggy bank is stolen, but then Lisa discovers Homer's note and everyone gasps. Back to Homer, as he nears the bridge, he crosses an intersection without a stop sign, and is nearly struck by an oncoming car. Homer continues on to the bridge, where he finds an identical boulder to the one he's just carried across town, and just as he's about to jump into the water below, Marge and the kids, running behind Homer, shout from a distance and tell him to stop. As they rush over to Homer, they cross the intersection and are also nearly hit by a car, but Homer quickly runs in and pushes them out of the way. He comments on how dangerous the intersection is and how someone should put a stop sign there. Suddenly, a light goes on in Homer's head, and he realizes that he now has a purpose in life: to make the intersection safer. The next day at City Hall, Homer presents his proposal for a stop sign at 12th and D Street, a dangerous intersection. His proposal is accepted, and a stunned Homer feels a greater sense of purpose and chooses to go on a campaign to make all of Springfield safer. Newspaper headlines ensues, chronicling all of Homer's new signs and his growling public support. Later the next week, after the town has been covered with safety signs, Homer still feels he must do more and plans to take on the nuclear power plant and attempt to make it safer. Next day at the power plant, in front of a large cheering crowd, Homer stages a protest about the lack of safety at the power plant. Mr. Burns glowers down at the protest from high above, through his office window, and orders Smithers to bring Homer to him to talk privately. Smithers goes down to the protest, retrieves Homer, and sends him to Mr. Burns' office. Once inside, Mr. Burns offers Homer a new job at the plant as a safety inspector, which would have a considerably large salary than his old job as a technical supervisor. Homer mulls over the job offer and accepts. Mr. Burns tells Homer that his first duty is to step out on the balcony and lie to the crowd and tell them that the power plant is safe. Homer reluctantly steps on the balcony to lie to the crowd and suddenly has a change of mind. He heads back into Burns' office and tells him that he can't do it. Burns realizes that Homer is very passionate about safety and won't back down to anything. He keeps Homer on as the safety inspector anyway. Homer goes back out to the balcony to announce to everyone his new job. The crowd cheers, and Homer does a celebratory dance on the balcony ledge. However, Homer, the safety inspector himself, falls off the balcony. The crowd catches him below, and they carry him off their shoulders, chanting his name.